I'm Samuel Pollen. I'm the author of a book called The Year I Didn't Eat, and I'm very excited to be part of BookBound this year. It's a great festival. There's loads of amazing authors. There's also me. You can catch up with everything they're doing on their Instagram, which is BookBound Fest, and their Twitter, which is BookBound 2020, and they're using the hashtag BookBound 2020. So I really encourage you to check out some of what they're doing. There's amazing stuff from lots of different writers of all kinds, and I am merely a drop in that ocean. So today I'm going to read a little bit of my book, just to give you a bit of context on this book. So it's a book about a boy called Max, who is a 14-year-old boy, and he has anorexia. Now obviously there's lots of books that exist about young girls with eating disorders, and quite rightly. There's not so many books about boys in that situation. About a quarter of people who develop eating disorders are boys, and I was one of them. I had anorexia when I was 12, and certainly my experience was that a lot of the resources that existed were set up for people who weren't me. So that was part of why I wanted to write this book. The other reason I wanted to write this book is that I wanted to write a book that was more generally about the idea of empathy. I think a lot of mental health advice we get, and a lot of our good life advice we hear in general, is to reach out to people around us and to talk to them. And that's a good thing, we all know that's a good thing, but we don't actually know how to do that. And that can be a really hard thing to do, particularly when you're a teenager, and you're maybe dealing with other things that are changing in your life. That question of how do I actually do that? How do I say, are you doing okay? How does that conversation happen in a way that isn't really awkward and difficult? In my book, lots of the characters struggle with that problem. So it's about eating disorders and the particular kind of set of challenges that come around that, but it's also more generally about that question of how do we reach out to the people around us? This book is published by Zuntold in the UK, and I think this video is going up on their social media as well. I'm very excited for that. Thank you to them for being so supportive of me. And it's also published in North America, if you happen to be in North America, by Yellow Jacket, who've been fantastic, who were the first publisher kind of on board for the book. I'm going to read a little bit of this. I'm going to just read from the start. They told me I could choose what to read, and I am very unimaginative, very simple person, so I was like, I will read chapter 1 and a bit of chapter 2. The book starts out with, so one of the key devices that happen in the book is Max writes letters to his eating disorder. He calls her Anna, which I know is very imaginative, but I wanted it to be kind of general, simple. And a lot of people have asked me, is that really what it feels like, that question, does it feel like there's another person in your head? Well, no, it doesn't quite, but I think that technique of making that another person in the book, so you can have that kind of dialogue between Max and his eating disorder, helped me explain a bit of what it feels like and helped me play out some of the thought processes in a way that just would have been very confusing and probably boring to read if it was all just in one person's head. So that's a bit of explanation for that. So I'm going to crack on and read some of The Year I Didn't Eat. If you're better prepared than me, you have like a bookmark in the place where you're starting, but here we are. December 24th. Dear Anna, I'm kind of new to this, so I don't really know what to write. I guess I should start at the beginning. I'm Max. I turn 15 next August, and right now, you're pretty much the only person I can actually talk to. Mum and Dad say they want to help, but I know that if I told them how I was really feeling, they'd pack me straight off to the loony bin. Same with Lindsay, my psychologist. Whenever I tell her stuff, it ends up coming back to bite me, because she makes me do stuff I really don't want to do. The other day, we were talking about exercise, and she suddenly told me I'm not allowed to run anymore, like, at all. Who knows what rules she's going to make up next. I have 2 friends at school, Ram and Stu, and I have no idea why they put up with me. I hardly ever hang out with them now. When I do, I snap at them all the time. I don't want to tell them about what's happening because they'll either run a mile or start treating me like some special case. I'm not sure which would be worse. Oh, and there's Robin. Don't tell him I said this, but my brother's actually pretty cool. Sometimes. He doesn't treat me like a special case, like Mum and Dad and Lindsay do. Even though he knows all about you, he just gets on with it. He pretends you're not even there. I wish I could do that. Even so, there's loads of things I can't really talk to him about. Because, well, he's my brother. Hey, Robin, is it true that chili speeds up your metabolism? And will any girls ever want to go near a freak like me? There's no way I'm going to ask him stuff like that. I look it up online sometimes. Okay, a lot of the time. All the time. But I pretty much always regret it. There's loads of people out there talking about you, Anna, and for some reason, most of them think you're the best thing since sliced bread. Bad choice of phrase, but you know what I mean. If we ignore the internet weirdos, there are 6 people in my life. Mum, Dad, Lindsay, Ram, Stu, and Robin. That's everyone I've got. Who would you talk to? That's why you're winning. That's why I'm writing this. Because there's no one else left. There are 8 billion people on this planet, and somehow the only person I can actually talk to is you. It's 12:32 AM now, so happy Christmas. Tomorrow is going to be super hard. Like the hardest day of my life so far. Breakfast will be okay, because it'll just be me, Robin, Mum and Dad. And they already know what I'm like. They won't mind when I say no to coffee and croissants, and the juice with bits in they've bought specially. They won't mind when I only eat 1 slice of toast with the thinnest smear of low-fat spread. Well, they will mind, but they won't say anything. But then, everyone else will arrive. Auntie Jess, Uncle Rich, James, Louise and Gran. And they've not seen me like this. They don't know what I'm like now. Chapter 1. I stay under the covers as long as I can. Last year, I raced down the stairs, hunting for my stocking, yelling at Mum and Dad to get up, like any normal kid. There's a soft knock at my door. What? I shout, and then immediately feel bad. Getting angry over nothing is my specialty these days. My mum opens it a crack. Happy Christmas, love, she says. Do you want to come down? In a bit, I tell her. It's 8 o'clock, she says. I know. I point at my wrist. My watch is on the smallest hole now, and still hangs loose. It looks weird, like one of those tags they put on birds' legs to study their migration patterns. I'm proud and ashamed of it at the same time. Mum comes into the room properly and sits down on my desk chair. She perches on the edge of it and sits really upright, like she wants to make the smallest possible impression on the room. I hate the way my parents are around me now. Like they're on eggshells. Like they're waiting for me to snap. Are you feeling alright about today, sweetheart? You talked it through with Lindsay? It's tiring. I'm tired all the time. Some days I go to bed at 7 PM. It'll be fine, I tell her, turning over in bed so I'm facing the wall. I'll be fine. I'll drag your brother out of bed soon, or I'll try to, at least. Your father's picking Gran up right before lunch. I'm not sure about your auntie. She said she'd give me a call before they left. Okay, I say to the wall. I hear her get up, but she doesn't leave the room. I can feel her eyes on me. I pull the cover right up around my neck because I hate the thought of anyone looking at my body, even my mum. Listen, love, she says. If it's too much, just tell me and we'll sort it out, okay? I don't say anything. Come down when you're ready. I love you. I wait for the door to click shut before getting up. Even though I'm not exactly looking forward to today, I'm still excited for my presents. Well, some of them. I've asked Mum and Dad for some new binoculars and a book on the birds of Borneo, and the new Zelda. Auntie Jess has probably got me some clothes that won't fit, and Gran always gets me, Robin and Dad the same thing. one each of those little round cheeses in a wax shell. I'll give mine to Dad this year, I guess. But it's Robin's present I'm really excited about. Robin is super into woodworking and always makes my presents himself. Last year, he made me the nest box that now hangs from the apple tree at the end of our garden. It's still empty, but I'm hoping a nuthatch or something will use it this spring. The year before, Robin made me a whistle that sounds just like a little owl. He told me he thought I'd have a hoot with it. My brother makes a lot of terrible jokes. I look out across the garden, the squirrels at the feeder, which is definitely supposed to be squirrel-proof, and I can hear some wood pigeons in the trees at the back. I like this time of day. It's quiet, and I haven't had to think about food yet. Usually, this is when I take Sultan, our red setter, for a walk. But not today. I pull on some clothes and head downstairs. "Happy Christmas, Max," my dad says, without looking up from his crossword, as I walk into the living room. He's sitting in his armchair, under a mound of newspapers. The tree blinks behind him. "Happy Christmas," I say, heading straight past him towards the kitchen. I help Mum lay the table. It probably sounds weird, given everything, but I like helping with meals. It makes me feel like I'm in control. Once the plates and cutlery are sorted, I make toast. We always have Hovis soft white medium, so I know exactly how many calories are in a slice. I put one slice in the toaster. Everyone else is having croissants. The smell of them kills me. Robin comes down a few minutes later and punches me on the arm. "Hey, happy Christmas," he says, tearing a strip off one of the croissants. "At the table, please," Mum says, whisking the tray away. Breakfast is fine, I guess. There are no major incidents. I have my toast with a smear of bread and some water. No one tries to offer me anything else. Robin, on the other hand, demolishes a bowl of Cheerios and 4 croissants. We all wait politely for him to finish. "We're going to feed you at lunchtime too, you know," says Dad. "Turkey takes ages," Robin explains. "And Mum's only just put it in." "Do you not want to open your presents?" Mum asks. "Of course," says Robin. "Presents are very important, but if I'm hungry, I won't be able to give them my full attention." In Christmas movies, kids tear the wrapping paper off the presents, scrunch it up and toss it on the floor. Not so in the Howarth household. Dad insists on us reusing wrapping paper, so when we open presents, we carefully peel off the tape and fold up each sheet. Dad's like this with everything. We have a huge rain barrel in the garden and solar panels on the roof. We haven't bought a shopping bag in my lifetime. We are the only family I know that puts pieces of aluminium foil through the dishwasher. Seriously. My presents are exactly what I asked for. Zelda, The Birds of Borneo, 14th edition, and a pair of Nikon 8x42s to replace my Helios 10x32s, which have started to go misty. I jump up and go to the patio window to try the binoculars out. I watch the squirrel burying the nuts he's nabbed from the feeder. "Thanks, Mum," I say, leaning in for a hug. I feel Mum flinch. Hugs have gotten more awkward lately. My parents don't like the feel of my ribs through 2 layers of clothes. Robin's presents are mainly tools. I have no idea what most of them are. One looks like a mini cheese grater. He seems happy enough. I thought a lot about what to get my parents. I've put them through crazy amounts of stuff this year, so I wanted whatever it was to be special. But there's no gift that says, "Sorry I had a screaming fit when I found out you bought semi-skim milk by accident." Or if there is, I couldn't find it. In the end, I settled on pretty normal stuff. Some new gardening gloves for Dad, and a leather-bound copy of Vanity Fair, Mum's favourite book. It turns out they were good choices. After she opens hers, Mum won't stop going on about how thoughtful I am. Robin, as usual, has outdone me. He's made a vertical planter for the front garden out of reclaimed scaffolding and bought a load of herbs to go in it, thus making Mum, Dad, planet Earth and himself happy in one go. God, he's annoying sometimes. Even so, I decide to give him his present. Robin's other hobby, when he's not making things out of wood, is mountain biking. He goes out to the Forest of Dean or the Peaks most weekends, so I've got him a pair of cycling gloves. "Thanks, bro," he says, although I'm disappointed you didn't get gloves for Mum too. It hadn't occurred to me that I'd bought gloves for 2/3 of my family. He picks up Vanity Fair. Maybe she can make some out of the cover? I punch him on the arm. He laughs, then says, your turn. He reaches way under the tree and pulls out a rectangular present, 8 inches long, 6 inches wide, 4 deep, wrapped in colourful paper. When I look closer, I realise the paper's a world map. The top side is mostly the Democratic Republic of Congo. A year or 2 ago, I was really into maps. There are still tons of them up in my bedroom. I carefully detach the tape and peel back the paper. Inside is a smooth wooden box. At first, I think it's another nest box, but there's no hole. I turn it over. It looks exactly the same on the other side. Thanks, Robin, I say. What is it? He winks. I'll show you after dinner. I go to ask him something else, but he raises a finger to his lips. Trust me, little bro. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your patience as I stumbled my way through that. I'm not a very natural reader. So yeah, this book is about, obviously it's about eating disorders. I think people have told me they've found it useful when they've been through something like this, also when they've known someone who's been through something like this and kind of wanted to understand the situation better. I think it's also hopefully useful to people who just are struggling with that question of how do I talk about my feelings, how do I engage with people around me and make sure they're okay. One thing I should say, and I should have said this at the top, but this book has a content warning in the front for good reason. If you are going through an eating disorder, if you've been through an eating disorder, you should talk to other people before reading something like this. It may be helpful, but it's obviously, there's things in here that could be triggering depending on what you've been through. So just that's something you should be obviously careful about. This book is hopefully going to help some people rather than make a situation harder for people. It's published by Zuntold in the UK. You can get it on all of the usual places. If you go to Hive, you can find local independents to order the book from, which is a really wonderful way to buy your books. In North America, it's published by Yellow Jacket. And again, if you go to my website, samuelpollen.com, there are various links to places you can buy it. I'm somewhat less familiar with where it's best to buy a book in America. I really hope you enjoy it. If you decide to read it. Thanks very much. BookBound, please check out everything else going on around BookBound. There's lots of other authors doing things like this, doing things where they don't stumble over every word, which might be even more enjoyable. And yeah, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much.